guys, welcome to a very late Friday Waffle. But no excuses. Last night I was planning to do it. You know what? I was absolutely shattered. Really tired. So when I came home, had my dinner, took the dogs out for a walk, and you know what? I think I fell asleep on the couch. So I just had no energy at all. So I thought, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it on Saturday. So yeah, here we are. I hope you're all. I hope you're all keeping fine. I've had a busy morning. What have I done? I've done my washing, I've hoovered, I've changed my bed, I've washed the floors, and I've spent a stupid amount of money in Morrison's getting food because quite literally my fridge was empty. So anyway, yeah, I have got very little to talk about this one. I notice I've only got one question this week. I notice there's a distinct lack of down the rabbit hole asking questions. Kevin, I hope you're alright. I mean, I've seen you in the Sunday streams, but I don't think you've asked any questions for a couple of weeks. I've said this before, guys, and I'll say it again. I really need questions because I've been doing these Friday Waffles for 7, coming up to 8 years. And you know what, I mean, I know it's a vast hobby and there's always something to talk about, but when you're doing these on your own, you're just having to talk to camera, it's hard to try and kind of come up with stuff to actually talk about. So please, if you want the waffles to continue, you need to give me some stuff to talk about, honestly, because I can't, you know, trying to just kind of think of stuff isn't always easy. So yeah, get your questions in. If you want this waffle to continue, or not this one obviously, but if you want the waffle to continue, you need to get questions in. As I've said, it doesn't even have to be an actual question. It can just be a topic, anything at all, anything game related. You know, it's easier for you lot to think of something than just kind of leaving it for me. So get your questions in. If you want the waffle to continue, you need to ask me. You need to give me stuff to talk about. So yeah, like I said, it's going to be, like myself, it's going to be short. Yeah, I've had a busy week at work. Gaming wise, have I been playing anything? No, I haven't. I mean, it's the first time these things have been on since the last waffle when I recorded with these in the background. I don't know, just I've not really had a chance to play very much. I tell a lie, I was playing my Raspberry Pi. Now I've got quite a few different setups. I've got a Raspberry Pi 4. I've got I've got the Raspberry Pi 4, whatever it's called, built-in keyboard, and I've also got a Raspberry Pi 3B, which is in one of Mike Hanson's joysticks. Well, it's not Mike Hanson's joysticks, it's one that he built for me. And it's cracking. The only thing that I've noticed, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about the Mister in my Discord channel. And the big thing about the Mister seems to be the lack of lag. Now, if you don't know what lag is, it's basically it's basically the delay from when you press a button to the actual on-screen character or ship responding. Now, apparently, the old style video games, old classic arcade games, because there was like the code was so basic, you know, there was no like sort of specialist hardware. I could be talking complete bollocks by the way, but I did read something like this. Because it was very basic, there was no lag at all. If you press a fire button, it reacted instantly, and that's what you need in an arcade game. Trying to play an arcade game that's got a slight delay is annoying, and I've noticed that when I'm playing the Raspberry Pi on my big TV. Now I don't know whether it's to do with the TV that I'm using is 4K. I did read, in fact I watched a video on YouTube, and they were basically saying how, excuse me, they were saying that because because the TV tries to kind of output the image at like whatever it is, its highest resolution or something, that slows the game down, and that's why you get a slight lag. And I really noticed it. I mean, I was playing, what was I playing, 1942, and I mean it's maybe like half a second delay, maybe not quite as much as that, from like moving the joystick a certain way or pressing the fire button. The fire button doesn't seem to be quite so bad because you can kind of get away with it, I think, if you're just kind of playing a shoot 'em up, because all you're doing is hammering the fire button, so you can get away with that. But when it comes to joystick control, it needs to be bang on, and because people have been talking about the lag, it's made me really aware of it, to the point that, I don't know, it would maybe stop me playing it, which is a shame. It would maybe stop me playing certain games, maybe shoot 'em ups, because if you're going to get hit and then you move the joystick and then there's just a split second delay, it's going to annoy you. It really is going to annoy you. So yeah, I don't know if anybody knows any options or any tweaks in a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4, how to kind of reduce the delay, the lag. Now I'm not using, I know apparently using using a wireless joystick, that can increase lag or slight delay. I'm not using that. I mean, this thing is wired directly up to the Raspberry Pi 4, so I don't have that problem, so I don't know what's causing it. But yeah, if anyone knows of any way to fix that, please let me know. So yeah, you know what, I'm really struggling here big time. So I think I've got one question. I'm just going to read through the comments from last week. Excuse me, let's have a look. In fact, the only question is Ian Hunter. Thank you very much, Ian. At least somebody cares. Hi Alan, a question for the waffle. You've probably been asked this question on a previous waffle, but I can't remember you answer it. So, which machine would you like to own but could never afford or didn't manage to acquire back in the day? For me, it would be the Acorn Electron. So, which machine would you like to own? So, do you mean what machine would I like to have owned back in the day? I'll answer it in two parts. What machine did I want back in the day? There was quite a few. I always wanted an Atari 2600, and I never got one, not until about 3-4 years ago. I mean, as a kid growing up in the 70s, early 80s, the Atari 2600 was just like a dream come true. It would have been the best thing ever, because we'd all played Space Invaders at your local chip shop or sports centre, and to be able to play that at home would have just been immense. And my mum and dad, there was just no way that they were going to buy me it. So I always wanted an Atari 2600. Other games, other systems, trying to think, I wanted a Vectrex for a long time, and I got my first Vectrex maybe about 10 years ago. Trying to think, I mean, when I had my C64, did I want an Atari? I don't think I did. Did I want a Spectrum? No, not really. That was a weird thing. Back then, I mean, you could only really afford one machine, and you had to pick carefully. I didn't really have any jealousy about not owning a Spectrum or a BBC, because as far as I was concerned, I had the best 8-bit machine. Yeah, console wise, I mean, I did eventually own a Sega Mega Drive, maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago. But back when I had my Commodore Amiga, one of my mates had the Mega Drive, and I always remember being quite jealous of the fact that, he had this controller that had like 4 buttons on it, whereas I had like a single joystick, a single button, 1 button joystick, and it just kind of felt more limited. I mean, I think I would prefer to have had the Amiga than the Mega Drive. But yeah, I would love to have owned a Mega Drive back in the day, and the same with the SNES. I did own a SNES. I did eventually get a SNES. I don't know when it would be, 1993, 94. and I only had it for a very short period of time. I can't remember, I wanted to buy something. I think when I wanted to then upgrade to a PC, did I have a PC then? No, I don't think I did. No, I still had my Amiga at that point. When I wanted to get a PC, it was about £1,000, so I had to sell my Amiga, and I think I had to sell the SNES as well. But so that was machines that I wanted to own back in the day, Ian. Machines now, I mean, I've mentioned this before. There's not really any machine that I can think of that I don't own that I would really like to get. I mean, apart from arcade games, you know, that goes without saying. I would love to get another arcade game. I mean, that arcade machine, fantastic, big solid thing. The only thing is, the screen is a wee bit wee. Same with that one. I mean, that screen looks alright because it's a kind of smaller size, but I would love to get a bigger screen put in that. It's something that I could potentially do, but I'm not very technical. I might do it at some point, but I mean, I would love another MAME arcade machine. I would love some original arcade cabs. The chances of me getting that are probably pretty zero. And the only other machine, like I've mentioned multiple times, that I would love to have got was the Sharp X 68000. You know, it was I don't know how powerful it was, but basically the CPS-1 games by Capcom, and possibly CPS-2 games, I think, as well. Was that like Strider? Can't remember exactly. They ran, I think the X68000 was virtually on a par with that software, with that hardware. So you were getting like arcade perfect versions of Strider and various other games. So yeah, I'd love to have owned that. I mean, that would have been an amazing machine to have. But as I've said before, they're really rare. You need to be able to speak Japanese. They're really unreliable because of the age they are. And you need to be, like I said, you need to be able to speak Japanese, and they do go, because they're so rare, they go for a lot of money. So the chances of me ever getting one, and from a practical point of view, it would be a bit daft for me to actually buy one, because I probably wouldn't play it, because I probably wouldn't be able to play it, and I think even software as well is really expensive. That's the thing, just kind of, when I'm talking there, I'm thinking about something. It's funny how we still, you know, I'm saying, oh, it's unreliable and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the mental thing is, the original hardware that we are still using, or at least I'm still using, I've got, you know, an original C64, Spectrum, Atari, all these old machines. I mean, they're all 40 years old. You know what I mean? 30, 40 years old. They were not built to last until now. They weren't, you know, I mean, they were, I wouldn't say they're disposable, but they certainly weren't built. It's the same arcade machines. You know, people, I saw somebody on one of the Facebook pages, and he was kind of moaning about, I can't remember what game it was, I think it was a Sega game, and he was kind of moaning about, oh, it's not working, this isn't working, and that's not working. And, and somebody said, wait a wee minute, you need to keep this in context. You need to remember, this thing was like 35 years old. It was never built to be played 35 years later. These things had a short shelf life, you know. The idea being they were there to make money. Once they stopped making money, they were going to get scrapped, recycled for parts. They would take the arcade owner, whatever it was, the chip shop owner, they would take the board out, get a new board put in, and they would get a new game. So, you know, for people to kind of complain about these old machines not working, what do you expect? They weren't designed for that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's probably the Sharp X 68000, Ian, I think, being the one that I would love to get. Juan Jose, you can have all the cores on the same SD card. Ah, is that the Mister? Yeah, we're talking about, obviously, the Mister runs cores, which is basically like individual machines. So yeah, Juan was saying you can have them all on one SD card. Will I buy a Mister? Maybe at some point, certainly not just now. Holly, she's saying here, a field programmable gate array FPGA are the future for retro games, but they are expensive and take quite a bit of setting up, and I would recommend, going to take a deep breath, the EP4C E22F17C6N DEO Nano as a place to start. Cheers, Holly. I'll bear that in mind next time I'm at game when I'm looking for that. Stephen saying here, you already have a Mister of sorts, mate, albeit a dedicated Spectrum FPGA with extra features, turbo modes and sound chips in the Spectrum Next. But people could create other cores in the Next. FPGA means it's a hardware recreation rather than a software emulation. FPGA can recreate multiple chips in parallel too, rather than a software version that has to whiz about trying to emulate all the chips at one time. Basically it means no lag and a very accurate representation of the real machine. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Panther and he was saying he's got a mate he's built his own machines and that kind of stuff, and he was basically saying that lag isn't really a thing with emulators. Now I don't know if, I mean, I've never really experienced that I'm aware of any lag playing emulators on a PC. I don't know, it's just because it's a faster machine, but like I say, certainly in the Raspberry Pi there is definitely a delay. I don't know whether it's to do with my TV, possibly. Colin Jones is saying here, I've had the Mister set up for less than a week and I've used it more than all my other RetroTech C64, Amiga, this C64 and Raspberry Pi combined in that time. Excuse me, once it's set up, it's not rocket science either. It's so easy to use and switch between different systems. Far swifter than the clunky interface you find on Raspberry Pi setups. Also, I've never noticed emulation lag before, but then I play the new King and Balloon core and boy did I notice a huge difference. If you can comfortably afford it, then you won't regret it. The Raspberry Pi and computer emulators will do, and I'll have... Oh, I think you've just kind of cut it off there, Colin, don't know what happened there. Yeah, like I says, I'm kind of coming around to, you know, that I do want a Mister, but I think I'll let you guys set them up properly, and then you can, when I do get one, you can keep me right, because I'm not the greatest with stuff like that. Yeah, and lastly, Juan Jose again, the Mister doesn't support MAME as that's emulation. What it does support is individual arcade cores for certain games. There is a CPS and CPS 1 and CPS 2 core about. No MAME though, as that's not the point of the project. I use FPGA and emulation. Why limit yourself? Both serve a purpose. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, like I say, that's the questions. Though I did nick into Discord and I noticed here, hang on a second, excuse me, I did find a question, hang on. Right, it's from Sir Lancelot. Hi Al, question for the next waffle. We're familiar with arcade video game emulation through the likes of MAME. Are you surprised that other forms of amusement emulation haven't been as prevalent? For example, fruit machine emulation, for example, through projects like MFME, Multi-Fruit Machine Emulator Project Amber, pinball machine emulation, although that is now becoming more commercially mainstream through things like pinball effects, etc, etc. Would you ever consider buying an actual physical virtual pin table that has a collection? Firstly, fruit machines. I suppose a lot of people would be saying, what is the point of emulating a fruit machine? And I would probably say the same, because the whole point of a fruit machine is to win money. You're not going to do that running an emulation. But I used to play some of the fruit machine emulators back in the day, and they had a good fun. You know, they had a good fun. Obviously you're not winning money, but they had a good fun. There was an emulator that I had years ago, I can't remember what the hell it was called. I mean, I'm talking probably more than 10 years ago, and it ran various fruit machines. It didn't look very good, it was kind of squashed, the graphics were a bit kind of, they weren't corrupted, but it didn't look that, but it played, and it was quite good fun. But I think I would, if somebody came out with a downloadable, sort of pack of fruit machines that looked professional, I think I'd probably buy it as long as it wasn't too expensive, because it's good fun. But as I say, it's, you know, what is the point if it emulating an arcade game? You're getting to play the game the way it was supposed to be designed. The payoff being you get a high score, you get to the next level. The payoff with a fruit machine is you win money. You're not going to get that in an emulation. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to actually see it. Regards pinball, I've never really been a pinball fan, purely and simply because I wasn't near any arcades back in the day. I never really got to see a pinball table. I mean, I think the first time I played a pinball table was probably at one of the Play Blackpool or Play Glasgow events, you know, maybe 3-4 years ago. I mean, I knew what pinball was, but I'd never really played it. I'd played obviously like various computer emulators, David's Midnight Magic. There's one, is it The Revenge of the Gator, which is on the Game Boy, which is actually really good. Yeah, I mean, I have played them since then, and they are good fun. They are good fun, and I totally understand why some people love them. I mean, my mate Ian, he's got, is it a Star Trek: The Next Generation pinball table? I think pinball tables really need to be the real thing, because you've got the kind of physical force feedback that you don't get with an emulator. Though saying that, I mean, one of my mates, he's recently built himself a virtual pin table. He's got a TV at the back with the score, and then he's got, I think it's a 32-inch TV. I think if you really want to do it properly, you would want to have, I don't know, a 42-inch or bigger TV. It would take up a lot of space. I would not have the first clue how to actually build something like that. If somebody wanted to build me one, that would be wonderful. I would take it in a heartbeat, I really would. I mean, I've played some of the pinball tables. Is it Pinball FX? Is it Pinball Arcade I've got on the PC? Again, when I first started playing pinball, I just thought, it's complete luck. You know, where is the skill? The ball either hits the paddle or it doesn't hit the paddle. But I've watched people at some of these play events, and there are good pinball players, you know, there is technique to it. So for me to say that there is no skill involved would be talking utter nonsense. But yeah, I mean, like I says, it's something that I would like to get one, but I don't think I've got the wherewithal or the skill to actually build it. But I do, like I said, I do play the occasional pinball table on the PC. It is good fun, and I do understand there is skill. You know what I mean? So, anyway, listen guys, I'm dried up here, but I'm going to say it's partly your fault, because I've said this before, I need questions. If I don't get any questions and I've got nothing to talk about, then I won't do the waffle, because I've got to have stuff to talk about. It's fine, I think, when you've got somebody else in the waffle with you, but when you're on your own, unless you've got something to think about or talk about, then it's difficult. So anyway, listen guys, just want to finish off and say thank you very much, as always, for all the support you give me. I will be along on Sunday, 6 o'clock till 8, and the theme for the live stream is shoot 'em ups on the Commodore Amiga, and hopefully we'll be getting another Mainmeister China Minor special from Holly. So anyway, until next time guys, as always, take care and thank you very much for watching.